I was working the night shift at a small office building in downtown Ohio. It was New Year's week, so the place was dead, like ghost town dead. Most people had taken PTO, and security had already gone home early. Just me, a half-working coffee machine, and way too much silence. I worked IT support, which basically meant babysitting servers overnight. If nothing broke, I sat there scrolling my phone, counting the minutes till sunrise. Around 11:40 p.m., I noticed something weird. My keycard log popped up on my screen. Access granted, floor 3. That was odd, because I was already on floor 3. I checked the cameras. Empty hallways. No movement. I shrugged it off. Old building, glitchy system. Then my desk phone rang. I almost jumped out of my chair. Nobody ever called that phone after hours. I picked it up and said, "IT support?" Static crackled. Then a whisper came through the line. "You shouldn't be here alone." I pulled the phone away from my ear and stared at it. The line went dead. "Very funny," I muttered to the empty office. I figured it was a prank, maybe security messing with me before heading out. Still, my gut felt off. I checked the keycard log again. Access granted, floor 2. That wasn't a glitch. I spun my chair toward the hallway. The lights were on, but the place felt wrong. I opened the security cam feed for floor 2. Nothing. No movement, no shadows. Then the motion sensor tripped. Cam 2B, storage hallway. The camera flickered before coming back online. That's when I saw it. A man standing perfectly still at the end of the hall. He was facing the camera, not moving, not blinking. His badge was flipped backward. No name, no photo. I leaned closer to the screen. The camera timestamp froze, and the man slowly lifted his head, like he knew I was watching. I told myself to chill. Night shifts mess with your head. That's what everyone says. I stood up from my desk and did a slow walk around the office just to prove to myself that everything was normal. Cubicles were empty, break room lights were off, the vending machine hummed like it always did. But something still felt off. The security monitor by the front desk caught my eye. 4 camera feeds: parking lot, lobby, back hallway, warehouse door. I leaned in closer. The parking lot was empty. No cars, no movement. The lobby cam showed the glass doors, locked tight. Then I noticed the back hallway feed. The motion sensor icon was lit up. I frowned. "That's weird," I whispered. "Nobody should have been back there." That hallway led to storage rooms we hadn't used in months. I watched the screen, waiting for the alert to clear. It didn't. Instead, the camera flickered, and for half a second, I thought I saw someone standing just out of frame. I adjusted the camera angle remotely, just a couple degrees. The hallway came fully into view. Empty. I let out a breath I didn't realize I was holding. "See? Nothing," I told myself. Then the motion alert went off again. Same hallway, same camera. I froze. The temperature in the room felt like it dropped out of nowhere. On the monitor, a shadow slid across the far wall, slow, deliberate. No footsteps, no sound. I reached for my phone and texted my supervisor. "Me, you got anyone in the building tonight?" 3 dots popped up, then vanished. No reply. That's when the office lights behind me turned off. Not all of them, just the row I had walked through 5 minutes ago. The rest of the floor stayed lit, like the darkness was following me. My desk phone rang again, same extension. I stared at it this time. It rang and rang until the voicemail kicked in. The red light blinked. I didn't have to play it to know. Whoever was here wasn't leaving. I stared at the blinking voicemail light for a solid 10 seconds before I finally pressed play. Static crackled. Then a man's voice came through the line. Calm. Too calm.
"You didn't follow the rule," he said. My throat went dry. "What rule?" I whispered, even though nobody was there. The voicemail kept going. "When you work alone, you don't answer the phone after midnight." I checked the time, 12:02 a.m. My skin prickled. The security monitors all flickered at once. Every camera showed movement now, shadows drifting through hallways, corners bending wrong. Then the back hallway camera went full screen by itself. The man was back, standing closer this time. His face was still hidden in shadow, but I could see his mouth move. He wasn't talking to a phone. He was talking to the camera. "You hear me now," he said. The office printer behind me turned on. Paper slid out slowly. One page. Big black letters across the top read, "You're not alone anymore." I finally pushed myself out of the chair and walked toward the security desk. The hallway lights were dimmed for night mode, casting long shadows that stretched across the floor. Every step echoed way louder than it should have. I checked the security monitor again. Camera 1, empty lobby. Camera 2, loading dock, still nothing. Then I switched to camera 3, and my stomach dropped. The break room light was on. I knew for a fact I'd turned it off before sitting down. I'm weird like that, always double-checking lights when I'm alone. I leaned closer to the screen. The camera angle was bad, but I could see movement. Slow, careful. Someone was standing just out of frame. I grabbed the radio and whispered hello, even though I already knew how stupid that sounded. No response. Then the break room door on the camera slowly started to swing shut from the inside. That's when it hit me. Whoever was in the building wasn't lost. They were waiting. I didn't wait anymore. I grabbed my jacket and sprinted for the lobby. The exit door was right there, 10 feet away. I slammed my badge against the reader. Access denied. I tried again, harder this time. Access denied. That's when I heard footsteps behind me, slow, unhurried, like whoever it was knew I wasn't going anywhere. I turned around. The man from the camera stood at the end of the hall, fully visible now. His badge was blank, no name, no photo. He smirked and said, "You always forget." "Forget what?" I shouted. He tilted his head. "This place closes before you do." The lights cut out. When they came back on, I was alone. The doors unlocked. I quit the next morning. No notice, no goodbye. A week later, my replacement texted me, "Hey man, quick question. Is it normal for someone to call the desk phone after midnight?" I blocked the number.
I worked overnight at a 24-hour grocery store off a highway in Arizona. Graveyard shift, midnight to 8 a.m. After 1 a.m., it was usually just me and one cashier up front. But on New Year's week, corporate cut hours hard. So yeah, I was alone. My job was restocking shelves and mopping aisles while the store stayed open. Automatic doors still worked, but nobody ever came in that late. Around 2:15 a.m., I noticed something strange. The motion sensor in aisle 9 kept going off. That aisle sold cleaning supplies, bleach, trash bags, duct tape. I walked over, mop in hand, half expecting a raccoon or something. The aisle was empty. No carts, no footprints. As I turned to leave, the store intercom crackled. Then a voice came through. "Cleanup needed in aisle 9. My stomach dropped. That announcement only works from the manager's office, and I didn't have the keys. I stood there for a second, just listening. The hum of the freezers, the buzz of fluorescent lights. "Hello?" I called out, my voice echoing way too loud. No answer. I headed toward the manager's office anyway. The door was locked, like always. The motion sensor went off again. Aisle 9. This time, I heard footsteps, slow ones.
cartwheels squeaking against the tile. I peeked around the end cap. A shopping cart sat in the middle of the aisle, empty. It hadn't been there before. The cart rolled forward by itself, just a few inches, then stopped. My radio crackled on my hip. "Store policy," a man's voice said, calm and flat, "requires all spills to be cleaned immediately." "Who is this?" I asked. Silence. Then the voice came back. "You missed a spot." The lights in aisle 9 flickered. I looked down at the floor. There were wet footprints leading away from the cart, and none of them were mine. The footprints led straight toward the back of the store, past the dairy coolers, past the employee-only sign. My chest tightened. Every overnight worker knows the rule. You don't go into the back room alone after 2 a.m. That rule wasn't written anywhere. It was just understood. I radioed in again. "If this is a joke, it's not funny," I said. The radio popped with static. Then the same voice replied, "You're already behind schedule." The freezer door at the end of the hall creaked open. Cold air spilled out, crawling across the floor like fog. The footprints stopped right at the threshold. I stood there, heart pounding, telling myself to walk away. That's when the store intercom chimed again. "Final warning," the voice said. "Clean the spill." I glanced back toward the front doors. They were locked. The automatic doors didn't respond. That's when I realized I wasn't staying late. I was being kept. I shouldn't have gone back there. I knew that, but the radio crackled again, louder this time. "Clock's ticking," the voice said. I pushed through the freezer door. The cold hit me like a wall. My breath fogged instantly. The lights above flickered wildly, and that's when I saw it. The spill. It wasn't water. It was dark, thick, slowly spreading across the concrete floor. I stepped closer, and my boot stuck slightly when I lifted it. "Oh, hell no," I whispered. The radio buzzed. "Policy says no stains overnight," the voice replied. I looked up. At the far end of the freezer, the emergency exit door was open. Snow drifted inside. Fresh footprints let out, but none came back in. Then I noticed something carved into the freezer metal. Letters scratched deep into the metal. "Cleaners stay, managers leave." That's when the freezer door slammed shut behind me. I ran to the freezer door and yanked on the handle. It didn't budge. I slammed my shoulder into it. Nothing. My radio crackled again, softer now. "You're doing great," the voice said. I spun around. The spill was spreading faster. It crept toward my boots like it knew where I was standing. I backed up until my shoulders hit the metal racks. "Who are you?" I shouted. The radio hissed. "I was you," the voice replied. The lights above flickered wildly, and suddenly I wasn't alone anymore. Shapes moved behind the frosted freezer doors, human silhouettes standing still, watching. The voice spoke one last time right against my ear. "Morning crew needs a clean store." The emergency exit door creaked open itself. Cold wind rushed in. I didn't think. I ran. I didn't stop running until I hit the loading dock. The emergency door slammed shut behind me like it had a mind of its own. I stood there, hands on my knees, heart going absolutely nuts. The night air felt warmer than the freezer, safer. My radio was silent now, too silent. When morning crew finally showed up, they found me sitting on the curb, shaking like I'd seen a ghost. Management said there was no spill, no footprints, no freezer message. They told me I must have had a rough shift and brushed it off like it was nothing. But here's the thing. When I clocked out, my timesheet showed I stayed late, way late, 7 minutes past my shift end. And under supervisor approval, there was a name I didn't recognize, the same name scratched in the freezer wall. That was my last overnight shift, because now I know the real rule. If you clean after midnight, The store never lets you leave on time.
Working alone at night messes with your head. Every sound feels louder. Every shadow feels personal. I was the only IT tech on duty in a downtown office building. 12 floors, glass walls, and way too quiet after midnight. Most people think offices are safe. Nah, empty offices are creepy as hell. Around 1:40 a.m., my phone buzzed with a work ticket. User reports movement on floor 9. I laughed under my breath. Yeah, okay, I muttered. Floor 9 had been shut down for renovations for weeks. No staff, no power, no reason anyone should be up there. Still, protocol's protocol. I grabbed my badge and hit the elevator. As the doors closed, the lights flickered. The elevator stopped between floors. My phone buzzed again. New ticket. He's standing behind you. I spun around. The elevator was empty, but the security camera light, it had just turned on. The elevator jolted back to life like nothing happened. No apology chime, no warning, just straight up resumed climbing. My phone buzzed again before I could even breathe. Don't turn around. I stared at the message, my pulse going crazy. I hadn't told anyone I was in the elevator. Nobody should have known. When the doors slid open on floor 9, the hallway was pitch black. Construction tarps hung from the ceiling, barely moving. The air smelled like dust and old wires. My badge reader beeped once, then unlocked. Inside, monitors flickered to life on their own. Dozens of security feeds popped up. All of them showed different angles of me, walking, standing, breathing, and in every single feed, there was a second figure, always just out of focus, standing right behind me. My phone buzzed one last time. See, you're never really alone at work. By that point, I wasn't even pretending to work anymore. I was just sitting there, lights dimmed, staring at the reflection in my computer screen. The office felt wrong. Not quiet, hollow. That's when I heard the elevator. The soft ding echoed down the hallway, way louder than it should have been. My stomach sank. No one was supposed to be in the building. Security was remote after hours, and cleaning crews came in after midnight. It was barely 10:40. I rolled my chair back slowly and stood up. I didn't call out. I didn't move toward the hallway. Then I heard footsteps, slow, deliberate, like whoever it was wasn't in a rush and didn't care if they were heard. They stopped right outside my department. I watched a shadow stretch across the carpet under the cubicle wall, and then a voice said my name. Not loud, not threatening, just casual, like we were old coworkers catching up after hours. You still here? My blood went ice cold, because I hadn't told anyone I was working late. I didn't answer. I couldn't. My throat felt locked, like my body knew something my brain didn't want to accept yet. The shadow shifted. A hand wrapped around the edge of the cubicle wall. Long fingers, too long. Relax, the voice said. I just need to log out. That's when every monitor in the room flickered. My name popped up on the screens. Employee ID, shift schedule, even my emergency contact. Then the cameras switched feeds. They weren't showing the office anymore. They were showing me sitting at my desk from earlier that night. Timestamp, 3:12 a.m. My phone buzzed hard in my pocket. An unknown number. You don't remember the last time you stayed late, do you? The shadow leaned closer. Most people don't, it whispered, and the office lights shut off completely. The darkness wasn't total. Emergency lights kicked on, bathing the office in a sick red glow. That's when I saw him, standing in the aisle between cubicles. He looked normal at first. Same badge, same company jacket, but his face kept glitching like bad video compression. I used to sit right there, he said, pointing at my desk. My heart slammed.
You're not in the system anymore, I whispered. He smiled. That's the problem, he replied. The monitors turned back on by themselves. HR files scrolled past, names, start dates, end dates, all labeled the same way. Voluntary resignation. Every single one was an overnight employee. He took a step closer. The building doesn't like being empty, he said, so it keeps us. My badge reader suddenly beeped at the exit door. Green light. You're lucky, he added. You remembered this time. I didn't wait. The second the exit light turned green, I bolted. The door slammed behind me as I hit the stairwell, taking the red glow with it. I ran all the way down 12 flights, lungs burning, legs shaking. When I burst out onto the street, the city noise hit me like a lifeline. Cars, sirens, people laughing somewhere down the block. The building behind me looked normal, quiet, empty. I quit the next morning. No 2 weeks, no explanation. HR said they understood. They always do. But sometimes, late at night, my phone still buzzes. Unknown number, no message, just a timestamp. 3:12 a.m. And every time I see it, I remember what he said. Some jobs don't let you leave.